Welcome to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be doing a higher time frame video on AGIX. We will also be doing a shorter term video, so make sure that you check out both for more information on the different structures that we're looking for. Okay, so let's get into the price action and see what's going on. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to discuss here is the fact that we don't have a lot of price history here. So we have to assume a few things within the count with regards to where we think this is going. So we can either treat this as we have a low here or we don't have a low here. If this is a low, then what we'd be looking for is continuation to the upside and starting to form a bigger structure, looking for a trending structure to the upside. However, if this is not a low in place here and we could actually see another low in place, what we would be looking for is the potential of something like this as a bigger corrective structure. So we're going to go over these individually and what would need to happen in order to invalidate or validate either of these counts. So we're going to go over the bullish count first, where we are treating this as we have a low in place here. So if this is the case, what we would be looking for is the potential that this is 1, 2 here, and then we'd be looking at this as a third wave to the upside. If this is the case, what we are looking for is further evidence that we have a fourth wave to come here. We are not allowed to cross this wave 1 high, which would be here at this 098 area, and we would want to find support within this yellow box area between this 3381 to this 1569. Now, it is possible that we could even have something like this where this structure is forming an even bigger move, where we have this as a 1-2 and we get a bigger 1-2, and we actually look to come back deeper here towards this 1563 to this 0679. But really only by losing this 50% would I change the interpretation of looking at this as potentially a fourth wave still here. So if we do start to break down deeper here, but we actually fail to take this low and it's just a corrective move to the downside, what this could actually imply is that we could potentially be starting this move from here, where we're going to get a bigger impulse to the upside as well. So this would be a more bullish count if anything else, but we'll have to see whether we actually get that far. So now, primarily what I'm looking for is, like I said, that possibility of having a fourth wave here, where we would be treating this in a couple of ways. So we could argue that this fourth wave could even potentially be completed here. Now, if this is the case, what we'd be looking for is the potential that this has been a W, an X, and a Y, and we have a low in place, in which case we'd want to see a bullish structure starting to develop to the upside. Now, the other way that we could look at this is that potentially within the count, we could actually have something like this, where we could actually see another push to the upside in an additional X wave, where we treat this whole move here basically as a bigger W, X, Y, X, and Z. So now some key areas here to pay attention to if we do start to move to the upside would be towards the zone here of this 0.618 of this previous X wave, which would come here towards this 3553. We also have some zones here which we're looking at as potential rejection points. We do have obviously these yellow boxes which I've got drawn out here. This one in particular has some daily naked points of control, monthly naked points of control, and also these 0.382 sitting within it. So this could be a potentially interesting zone if we do actually look to move up into this area. We could also look for the potential of a swing failure off this high here at this 3663 if we do continue to climb. Now, this would be looking for the idea of forming a three-wave move to the upside, basically A, B, and then looking for a C wave to the upside. So that's why this 1-to-1 top of this channel could potentially be another target area that we look for. This would also bring us back here into this bigger yellow box area which we have here, which has some daily naked points of control, monthly naked points of control. It would also have the golden pocket and the 0.786 sitting within it. So these are alternative areas that we could see a reaction, if we are going to look to continue. If this is the case, what we'd be looking for is basically an additional three-wave structure after a three-wave move to the upside, which could look to bring us back down here into this 1990 as a potential target area. So the other way that we can discuss this move as being completed already here would be, we would be saying that basically within this count that this fourth wave is completed, that we came down towards this 0.382, which is sitting here at this 0.2211, and what we're looking for is that potential that we're moving away. Now, if we're moving away here, what we'd want to see is a bigger five-wave structure to the upside. It's either like this, where we're forming this as a bigger 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we actually look to take this high. Now, if we are looking for this fifth wave to the upside, I'm not going to go too much into the smaller counts here. we're going to do a separate video on that, but basically our fifth wave could potentially look to target out this zone of this $1.31 to this 0.86. So this would be if we turned around from this point here. Now we do have some other fifth wave target areas that are available as well. So these are calculated different ways. The orange target here is based off of the wave 1 to 3. We have that 0.382, which would sit just above this previous third wave high. Then we also have this 0.618, which is sitting here up here towards this 145. If we are looking to have a shorter fifth wave, potentially what this could mean is we could actually see this move just come and sweep this high here, and it looked to complete somewhere between this zone here of this 0.71 to this 0.67 area. Obviously we'd have additional targets once we get some structure to the upside here, but this would be looking for a shorter fifth wave. If we do get an extension up here and we get a bigger fifth wave, what we would be looking for is that potential of this 1.618 of the wave 1, which could be here towards this 132. As well as this, we would have this 145, which sits in this zone, and then we also have this red box area that we discussed. So this would be looking for that potential of that fifth wave to the upside. What we'd want to see is this move starting to move back up here and starting to take out some of these swing highs to invalidate that bearish count that we could potentially see here still. So this is basically what we're looking for here. We're looking for evidence of this fourth wave as a completed move here, but there is still the potential that within this count we could actually see a additional drop one more time in a fifth wave. So ideally I would like to see this come back into the low ranges of this structure here, which is sitting towards this zone of the 1640, but this doesn't have to happen. It has done enough to complete here, so we need to be aware of that fact. And if we start to move away here in a bigger five wave move, come back down and hold this low, this could actually be setting us up for that possibility of breaking to the upside here. Though we would need to monitor this. If we get a five wave move up here, we get a three wave move down, we get another five wave move up, and it fails to achieve that 1.618. This could actually just be that corrective move that we talked about as a three wave structure, and then looking to break down again. So we need to be aware of that fact. We need to see the follow through with the price actually playing out here if this is going to become an impulse. Now, if we are looking for the potential of this being an additional fourth and a fifth here, what we'd be looking at, like I said, I'm not going to go too much into the smaller counts here, but we'd be looking at this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if that's the case, what this could actually mean is we could see a additional drop down towards this zone here of this 2084 to this 1815, which would bring us right back into this channel and right back into this structure. So going to be keeping an eye out on this in case we do actually have an additional move to the downside. So what would this mean if we actually get this as a five wave move to the upside and we do continue to get this fifth wave up here? Well, now there's a couple of things we need to take into account. We don't have all the structure here, so potentially this could even be a fourth wave into here, in which case this could actually complete a fifth wave of a higher degree, in which case what we could see is actually a retest of this fourth wave area. So we need to be aware of that if we do get a deeper retracement after this, what this could mean is that we could actually come back and even retest the low of this point here towards this 0363. So we need to be aware of that. Obviously we don't have all the information here. The other way we can look at it, if we want to be very bullish, is that we could argue that this is either in a corrective state to the upside, where this five wave move would then look to complete an A wave, in which case we'd be looking for a B wave towards this 18 cent to this 0680. Now this would be off that target area that we had shown earlier, and what we could then see is either we could see an additional five wave structure which looks to take us up towards this 362, which I think would be a much more reasonable target. But if we do get a bigger impulse to the upside here, what this could mean is that we get a bigger five wave structure which could actually even look to take us towards this zone of this 2962 as a third wave, looking for a fourth and then looking for a fifth wave to some of these higher targets here. Now, it's not impossible, but I do think that these higher targets here are quite out there. So we'll have to see exactly how the price structure actually plays out here. But I think it would be more reasonable to be looking towards this $3.62 as a one-to-one, where this could then become a bigger corrective structure to the upside. Like I said, we obviously always have to be careful that we could see a retest of these lows. If the end of a bigger degree here, we could see this bigger retracement back into this zone. So we need to always be aware of that. But if we do complete that five wave move to the upside, what I'll then be looking for would be to find the support here and then looking to progress to the upside. Now, the other way that we were discussing this is that potentially this could actually be a completed move where we actually treat this as a B wave high. Now, if this is a B wave high, what this could mean is that we are actually looking to break down in a C wave. Now, This C wave, like I said, that 1-to-1 is here towards this 0.3362. So that this would be a potential target as a truncation if this is going to be a flat. And what we'd be looking for would be the potential of this actually developing in 5 waves. Now, if this is looking to develop in 5 waves down to the C wave, the structure is not great at the moment, but what we would be looking for would be something like this, where we actually get a bigger breakdown. So what I'd be looking for is then treating this potentially as a 1-2, and we'd actually be looking for this blue 1.618, which is sitting here towards this 1921. So if this is the case, we'd be looking for this move to actually break down towards this 1921 before getting an additional 4th wave to the upside between this zone here of this 3373 to this 2507, and then continuation down again in a bigger and another 5-wave move towards this zone of this 1737 to this 1474. Now, if we did get a move down in this manner, this would then give us a 5-wave move off of the high. So this would only be able to either be an A wave or a wave 1. If this is the case, what we'd be looking for then would be that potential of a 3-wave move up and then continuation. Obviously, if this is going to become a bigger 5-wave structure to the downside, this could become 1, 2. We'd get a bigger 3rd wave, 4th wave, and a 5th wave, and that would actually look to take these lows. We'd have to count the structure and look for the internal counts as that develops, but that's what we're being mindful of. Forming this 5-wave move off these highs, where we basically have this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. This would mean that we have confirmation that we have continuation. It is also possible that if this is extending out and we are in a wave 3, that I could be potentially counting this wrong, where we could actually have this as 1, 2, we form another 1, 2 here, and then actually we extend out directly without forming this 4th, 5th, and then coming back up for that bigger wave 2. So we'll have to keep an eye on that and be aware of that. We have rejected off of this previous support zone here, so we'll have to see whether we can manage to get back above that and look to move to the upside again. Now, that is the 2 ways that we're looking at this. If we do start to break down in a bigger way, then that would be looking for that potential to actually, come back down and break down past these lows. Now, I've got some other areas of interest and a couple of things that I want to talk about here regarding different levels. So what we do have here is an ascending speed fan, so taken from these lows into these highs. So we can see that we actually did find support here on this bottom gray line. What I want to see here is whether if we're looking for a move that is going to continue to progress, I want to see this move start to move up and look to actually find support on this blue line here, potentially even looking to push up towards this higher green line here. So these would be potential areas we could see some resistance and support come in on this move to the upside. So we will be keeping an eye on this. Now, in the short term, what I want to see is whether we actually maintain this gray line, even if we do get a retracement back down here, potentially after we form an additional leg to the upside here. What we could find is actually support comes back in on this ascending gray line here, and then we could actually look to continue this move to the upside. If we lose this gray line, then I'd still be looking for those same ideas of actually coming back into this previous structure and the bottom trend line. Now, another thing that we can also discuss here is that we do have a descending line here taken from these lows here. We can see that we actually found support on this green line here, and we've actually moved back above this green line. So once again, the idea would remain the same. I would want to see whether we start to see this start to move to the upside here, where we potentially even come back here and find support towards this zone of this 2881, and then look to progress up and see if we do manage to continue to climb up these different levels, looking for that bullish option. Alternatively, we could also start to break down from here, face rejection off of this, and then look to continue down and possibly even come and find support again lower down on this green line. So there is an interesting intersection here between our channel and this line, so that is something worth keeping an eye out. Now, if we wanted to talk about the potential of a bearish case here, now, if you want to look at this as a bearish case, we're looking for that possibility of continuation to the downside by moving this down into this most recent low here. We can see that we have faced resistance at this orange line. Failure to break back above this could indicate that we could see a move back down here, looking for this lower gray line and potentially into the support once again. So this is just a couple of things that I'm keeping an eye out here in the shorter term. If we do manage to move back and start finding a support on this orange line here, potentially we can look to push to the upside. And once again, like I said, if we take it from this point, we would be looking to hold the support on this green line that we have here. So looking at some ranges now, just on this move to the downside here, we can see that we do actually have this value area low, which is sitting directly above us. So if we do move up into this zone, this could actually give us a rejection point, and we could actually look to continue down. So this is also an area I'm keeping an eye on towards this zone of this 3474. Now, if we do move up here and move down, this would tie into that idea that we are not completed this move, and we could actually still be looking for that fourth wave, which would mean that we possibly would still be looking for that potential to come back down here one more time and actually look for this lower range here, potentially towards this 50%, or even just retesting this 382, which is slightly low down because we didn't quite get to it. So potentially we could still see, an interaction that is somewhere between these two lines or into this channel line. So we need to be aware of that. Now, another thing is that if we look at this move as the entirety of this move to the downside, what we can see is that we have this move lower down here, which would actually look to bring us back towards this 50%. We can see we've got this point of control slightly higher up here at this 1677. Value area low is here at this 1448. And then we have this value area high. So even if we are looking at that potential of that X wave, something like this playing out, where we're actually looking to form that W, X, Y, X, and Z, this could also be a potential area that is interesting on the way to the upside towards this 43.75. So this would tie in with the idea of potentially coming back up here. Possibly we could look to swing for one of these areas before looking to reverse again to the downside. So we'll have to keep an eye on this if we do start to move to the upside in a bigger way. Now, I want to talk about a couple of things in relation to time. So if we are looking at this wave, this is a wave 2 and this is a wave 4 here. If we throw this time relationship on, we can see that this wave 2 and this wave 4 have almost perfect equality in time. So this is why I'm looking for that potential that we could see a reversal to the upside here. Now, this doesn't mean that it has to be this way. Potentially, wave 4s can take anything up to sort of 4 times as a maximum of the wave 2, but typically speaking, we're going to see something between this 1 and this 2 times the length of this as a wave 2. If this is actually completed here, we could be looking for this fifth wave to the upside. So this is just looking at it from a time perspective here. If this starts to get too big, basically it becomes less likely. So we want to see this, relatively either equal or slightly longer. So even if we did get this move to the upside here, where we see something like this as an X wave, and then we look to break down one more time, potentially what we could see is this come towards maybe this 2 times the length of this, or this 1.618, which would be towards July, 5th of July or 11th of August, respectively. So now if we're looking at the relationship between this A wave and this B wave, if we're looking at this more bearish count here, what we could see is that, this time that the B wave has taken, if it is a B wave to the upside, has been 0.618, a little bit over, but it hasn't quite reached that 1-to-1. So this could mean that even if this is a B wave, potentially there could be, a little bit more to this, but we are coming towards that 1-to-1 now. So it is possible this B wave could just be shorter in time. Now, if we're going to discuss the fact that this B wave has potentially completed into this high, what we could then see is that we could need a lot more time for the C wave to unfold, in which case a 1-to-1 time of this A wave would actually look to take us into December. A 0.618 would look to take us into August, and then we'd be looking for somewhere between this zone. I wouldn't like to see it be really short towards this 382. If we're looking at this as a C wave, I'd be looking more towards this equality or towards this 0.618 area as a typical zone. So this could give us some clues. If this is a C wave, it could be that we are going to see this take a lot more time to play out, and we are basically not even a third of the way there, and we could just expect this to continue to slowly grind down here for this C wave if this is the case. But typically speaking, C waves will take a little bit less time than corrective waves, especially if we're looking at this as a flat, because impulses do tend to take less time. So if we did see this start to break down in a bigger way, potentially what we could see is, this look to actually take up into this 0.618 instead. So we'll have to keep an eye on this. This is just another thing that I am looking at within the counts as just to give us some perspective within the waves. Now, if we are looking for the C wave, like I said, what we could be looking for is that potential to come back down in a impulse. So we're going to have to watch this, because, it is still possible that this is all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we get a wave 2 to the upside, potentially a 3, 4, and a 5, something like this, would take a bit more time to play out and would kind of fit into the idea of having a look at this as a C wave. So we'll have to just give it some space and see how that goes. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video. Leave us some feedback down below, and also in the description you'll find a link to Discord. Come check it out, it's free to join. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.